Captain Jake Morrison wiped the sweat from his forehead as he stared at the scanner display. The old screen flickered and buzzed, showing nothing but empty space and floating debris. His ship, the Liberty's Edge, drifted slowly through the Kepler system like a metal whale hunting for scraps. "Anything good out there, Captain?" asked Lisa Hayes from her seat at the engineering station. Her hands moved quickly over the controls, keeping their dying engines running for another day. The ship groaned and shuddered with each breath she took. Jake shook his head. "Same old junk. Broken hull pieces, burned out engines, nothing worth our fuel." He rubbed his tired eyes. They had been searching for 3 days now, and their food supplies were running low. If they didn't find something valuable soon, they would have to head back to Frontier Station empty-handed again. Commander Rick Barnes looked up from his navigation console. His face showed the worry they all felt. "Jake, maybe we should head back. The Zephyrians have been patrolling this system more often. We don't want to run into one of their cruisers." Jake knew Rick was right. The Zephyrians were bad news for human salvage crews. Those big lizard-like aliens claimed ownership of everything in this part of space. They shot first and never bothered asking questions later. But Jake also knew they needed money. The Liberty's Edge was falling apart and his crew hadn't been paid in 2 months. "Just one more sweep," Jake said. "If we don't find anything in the next hour, we'll head home." Lisa turned back to her controls and ran another deep scan. The computer made soft beeping sounds as it searched through the cosmic junk floating around them. Suddenly, the beeping changed. It became faster and more urgent. "Captain, I'm getting something strange," Lisa said. Her voice had excitement in it for the first time in days. "There's a piece of wreckage about 2 kilometers away. It's big, maybe half the size of our ship." Jake moved to look over her shoulder at the scanner. "What's strange about it?" "The energy readings don't make sense. The metal looks completely dead, but my instruments are picking up some kind of power signature deep inside. It's very weak, but it's definitely there." Rick frowned. "That sounds dangerous, Jake. Unknown alien tech has been causing problems all over human space. Remember what happened to the salvage crew on Darwin Station? They found some weird artifact and half of them went crazy." Jake thought about it. Rick was right to be careful, but they were also desperate. "What kind of power signature, Lisa?" She adjusted her controls and studied the readings more carefully. "I've never seen anything like it. It's not fusion, not antimatter, not even quantum decay. It's something completely different. And Jake, the metal itself is strange too. It doesn't match any known alien designs in our database." Jake made his decision. "We're taking it. Lisa, prep the cargo bay. Rick, plot a course to intercept." Rick sighed, but started working on the navigation. "I hope you know what you're doing, Jake." 20 minutes later, they reached the wreckage. Through the main window, they could see it floating in the darkness. It looked like a twisted piece of a much larger ship. The metal was dark gray, almost black, with strange curves and angles that hurt to look at too long. It definitely wasn't human, but it didn't look like any alien ship Jake had ever seen either. "It's beautiful in a weird way," Lisa whispered. "Look how the metal seems to flow like water, even though it's solid." Jake activated the cargo bay doors and extended the magnetic grapples. The wreckage was heavy, much heavier than it looked. Their ship's engines groaned as they pulled it inside. Just as the cargo bay doors were closing, Rick's scanner started. "Screaming! Zephyrian cruiser coming in fast!" Rick shouted. "They'll be in weapons range in 3 minutes." Jake's blood went cold. Zephyrian cruisers were 10 times bigger than the Liberty's Edge and armed with enough firepower to turn them into space dust. "Lisa, how are the engines?" "Not good," she replied, her hands flying over the controls. "I can give you maybe 60% power, but only for a short burst. After that, we'll be running on fumes." The Zephyrian ship appeared on their screens. It was huge and green, shaped like a giant crocodile with weapons bristling from every surface. A harsh voice came over their radio, speaking in broken human language. "Human scavengers, you will stop and prepare for boarding. All salvage in this system belongs to the Zephyrian Empire." Jake grabbed the radio. "This is Captain Morrison of the Liberty's Edge. We're just passing through. No trouble here." "You lie," the Zephyrian commander replied. Our sensors show you have taken salvage. Surrender now or be destroyed. Jake looked at his crew. Rick was pale but ready to fight. Lisa was still working on the engines, trying to squeeze out more power. He made the only choice he could. Lisa, give me everything you've got. Rick, plot a jump course back to Frontier Station. Jump drive needs 2 minutes to charge, Rick replied. We don't have 2 minutes, Jake said, watching the Zephyrian cruiser getting closer. Suddenly, Lisa shouted with excitement. Jake, something's happening with the wreckage. The power signature just spiked. It's like it's waking up. The lights on their ship flickered. For a moment, Jake felt something strange, like electricity in the air. Then their engines roared to life with more power than they had shown in years. What did you do? Jake asked. I didn't do anything, Lisa replied, staring at her instruments in amazement. The wreckage is somehow boosting our power output. Our engines are running at 120% efficiency. Jake didn't waste time asking questions. Rick, jump now! The stars stretched into lines as the Liberty's Edge jumped to hyperspace, leaving the angry Zephyrian cruiser far behind. They had escaped, but Jake knew they had also started something they didn't understand. 3 hours later, they arrived at Frontier Station. The old space station looked like it had been built from spare parts and held together with hope. It orbited a dead planet on the edge of human space, serving as home to smugglers, salvage crews, and anyone else who didn't fit in civilized society. Helen Carter, the station administrator, met them at the docking bay. She was a tough woman in her 50s who had seen everything the galaxy could throw at humanity. Jake, you look like you've seen a ghost. What happened out there? Jake told her about the wreckage and their escape from the Zephyrians. Helen listened carefully, her face growing more worried with each word. You brought unknown alien tech to my station? She asked when he finished. Jake, that stuff has been causing strange incidents all across human space. Ships going missing, crews acting weird, equipment malfunctioning. The Colonial Union has issued warnings about it. It saved our lives, Jake replied. Whatever it is, it's not hostile. Helen shook her head. You don't know that. I want that thing in a secure cargo bay away from the main station, and I want it scanned by every instrument we have. Jake agreed, but he could tell Helen was scared. As they moved the wreckage to an isolated bay, he noticed something strange. Small scratches and dents on the metal surface were slowly disappearing, like the wreckage was healing itself. That night, Jake received a message from someone he hadn't heard from in years. Dr. Alan Webb had been a respected scientist once, before. His theories about ancient aliens got him kicked out of the Colonial University. Now he lived on the frontier, studying alien artifacts that mainstream science ignored. The message was simple, but urgent. Jake, I heard about your discovery. That wreckage matches descriptions from ancient texts I've been studying. We need to talk immediately. What you found isn't just salvage. It might be the key to humanity's survival. Jake stared at the message for a long time. He had expected to find scrap metal, and maybe earn enough money to keep his ship running. Instead, he might have found something that would change everything. The question was whether that change would save humanity or destroy it. Dr. Alan Webb arrived at Frontier Station 2 days later on a battered transport ship. Jake had not seen him in 5 years, and the man looked older than his 50 years. His hair was completely gray now, and deep lines marked his face, but his eyes still burned with the same curiosity that had gotten him in trouble with the university. Jake, my boy, Webb said as they shook hands in the docking bay. I came as fast as I could. Where is it? Jake led him to the secure cargo bay where they had placed the wreckage. Helen Carter and Lisa Hayes were already there, along with Rick Barnes, who was running security checks on the bay's systems. The wreckage sat in the center of the room under bright lights, looking both beautiful and frightening at the same time. Webb walked slowly around the wreckage, his eyes wide with excitement. He pulled out an old tablet and began taking pictures and notes. Incredible, he whispered. The metal composition, the flowing design, the way it seems to bend light around itself. This is definitely builder technology. Builder technology? Lisa asked. I've never heard of any species called the builders. Webb looked up from his tablet. That's because they disappeared millions of years ago, long before any current species reached the stars. They were the first great civilization in this galaxy. They created technology that could repair itself, improve itself, and adapt to any situation. Rick crossed his arms. If they were so advanced, what happened to them? Nobody knows, Webb replied. They vanished completely, leaving only scattered artifacts across the galaxy. Most scientists think they're just legends, stories made up by primitive aliens. But I've been studying the evidence for 20 years. The builders were real, and they left behind technology that could change everything. Jake studied the wreckage more carefully. So this piece came from one of their ships? Not exactly, Webb said. I believe this is what they called a seed. The builders designed their technology to grow and spread. When a seed finds compatible minds and materials, it begins to build something new, something better. Lisa frowned. Compatible minds? What does that mean? Webb smiled. That's the interesting part. According to the ancient texts, builder technology only works with certain types of thinking patterns. Most alien species can't use it at all, but humans might. Be different. Why would we be different? Jake asked. I don't know, Webb admitted. But the fact that your ship's engines responded to this wreckage suggests that human minds might be compatible with builder systems. Lisa, would you be willing to try interfacing with it directly? Lisa looked nervous. Is it safe? I honestly don't know, Webb said. But if I'm right about what this is, it could be the most important discovery in human history. Jake thought about it. They were already in danger just by having the wreckage. The Zephyrians knew they had taken something from the Kepler system. Soon other species would hear about it too. Maybe it was better to learn what they were dealing with. Lisa, it's your choice, Jake said. But I trust your judgment. Lisa nodded, slowly. I'll try. But I want everyone ready to pull me back if something goes wrong. She approached the wreckage carefully and placed her hand on its surface. The metal felt warm, almost alive. At first, nothing happened. Then, slowly, thin, threads of silver began to grow from the wreckage toward her hand. Lisa, get back! Rick shouted, reaching for his weapon. No, wait, Lisa said. Her voice sounded different, more confident. It's okay. It's not trying to hurt me. It's trying to communicate. The silver threads touched her hand and began to spread up her arm like living tattoos. Lisa's eyes went wide as information flowed into her mind. She could see blueprints for machines she had never imagined, understand principles of science that human textbooks had never described. My God, she whispered. I can see how it works. The wreckage isn't just a piece of an old ship. It's a manufacturing system. It can build anything, repair anything, improve anything, and it wants to help us. Jake stepped closer. Help us how? Lisa's eyes were glowing with a faint silver light now. It can integrate with our ship, make it faster, stronger, better, armed. The Liberty's Edge could become something incredible. Webb was taking notes as fast as he could write. This is exactly what the ancient texts described. The builders created technology that partners with other species, helping them reach their full potential. Rick looked skeptical. And what's the catch? There's always a catch with alien tech. Lisa was quiet for a moment, listening to voices only she could hear. The catch is that once we start, we can't go back. The integration will change our ship permanently. And it will change us too. Change us how? Jake asked. I'm not sure yet, Lisa replied, but I can feel it already. My understanding of technology is expanding. I can see solutions to problems I never even knew existed. Suddenly, alarms began blaring throughout the station. Helen Carter's voice came over the intercom system. All hands to emergency stations. We have multiple ships approaching on an intercept course. Looks like hegemony fleet vessels. Jake's heart sank. The hegemony was the galaxy's dominant alliance, made up of a dozen different species. Their fleets were massive and their weapons were devastating. If they wanted the wreckage, Jake's small crew had no chance of stopping them. How long until they arrive? Jake asked over the intercom. 20 minutes, maybe less, Helen replied. Jake, they're demanding we turn over any builder artifacts immediately. How did they find out so fast? Webb looked grim. The hegemony has been hunting for builder technology for centuries. They probably have agents watching for energy signatures like the one your wreckage produces. Lisa was still connected to the wreckage, silver threads covering her arms now. Jake, I can feel the ship systems calling to me. If we're going to integrate, we need to do it now. Once the process starts, we'll have weapons and defenses that can fight back. Rick shook his head. This is crazy. We don't know what we're dealing with. For all we know, this thing could turn us into monsters. And if we don't try, Jake replied, the hegemony will take it and probably kill us all. At least this way we have a chance. Jake made his decision. Lisa, do it. Begin the integration. Lisa nodded and pressed both hands against the wreckage. The silver thread spread faster now, covering her entire body in glowing patterns. At the same time, more threads began growing from the wreckage toward the walls of the cargo bay. I need to get to the engineering section, Lisa said. Her voice echoed strangely now, as if it was coming from multiple places at once. The integration needs to start with the ship's main systems. They rushed through the station corridors toward the docking bay where the Liberty's Edge was connected. Behind them, they could feel the wreckage beginning to move, flowing like liquid, metal toward their ship. In the engineering section of the Liberty's Edge, Lisa placed her hands on the main computer console. Silver threads immediately began spreading from her into the ship's systems. The lights flickered and the ship's engines hummed with new life. Integration beginning, Lisa announced. Jake, you need to get everyone aboard. The ship is going to change dramatically over the next few minutes. Jake called Helen on his communicator. Helen, we're taking our ship out. Thank you for everything. Jake, you're crazy if you think you can fight a hegemony fleet, Helen replied. Their lead ship is the Dominion's Will. That's a heavy cruiser with enough firepower to destroy this entire station. Then stay out of our way, Jake said. We don't want you getting hurt because of us. Rick was already at the navigation station preparing for departure. Webb had strapped himself into a passenger seat, still taking notes on his tablet. Through the ship's windows, they could see the wreckage flowing like liquid into their hull, merging with the metal and becoming part of the ship itself. The Liberty's Edge began to change. The hull grew thicker and stronger. New weapon ports opened along the sides. The engines doubled in size and began glowing with silver light. What had been an old salvage ship was becoming something else entirely. Integration at 50%, Lisa reported. She was now connected to the ship by dozens of silver cables that had grown from the walls and floor. Jake, I can feel the hegemony ships. They're afraid. They've never seen anything like what we're becoming. Through the main window, Jake could see the hegemony fleet approaching. 6 massive warships in formation, their weapons already charging for battle. The lead ship was indeed the Dominion's Will, a kilometer-long monster bristling with missile tubes and energy cannons. Integration complete, Lisa announced. Jake, we are no longer the Liberty's Edge. The ship has chosen a new name. We are the Defiance. The transformation was incredible. Their small salvage ship had become something that looked like it belonged in a museum of advanced civilizations. The hull was now silver and black, flowing with organic curves that seemed to move in the light. Weapons that Jake had never seen before lined the sides. A message came from the hegemony fleet. The voice was cold and mechanical, translated by computer from some alien language. Human vessel, you are in possession of illegal builder artifacts. Surrender immediately or be destroyed. The first shots came from the hegemony fleet. 6 heavy cruisers opened fire at once, filling space with deadly energy beams and missiles. The Defiance shook as the weapons hit its new hull, but the silver metal absorbed the impact and glowed, brighter. Hull damage minimal, Lisa reported from everywhere at once. Her voice came from the walls, the ceiling, the control panels. She had become part of the ship itself. Jake, I'm reading the enemy weapons. Their technology is thousands of years behind what we have now. Jake gripped his command chair as another wave of missiles exploded around them. If we're so advanced, why are we getting beaten up? Because I'm still learning how to use these new systems, Lisa replied. Give me a moment to figure out our weapons. Rick was working frantically at his station trying to plot an escape course. Jake, we can't fight 6 cruisers at once. We need to run. No, Jake said firmly. Running won't solve anything. They'll just follow us and attack human colonies until we surrender. We fight here and now. Through the main window, Jake could see Frontier Station in the distance. Helen. Carter had moved the station away from the battle, but she was still too close. If the hegemony decided to destroy the station as an example, thousands of humans would die. Lisa, can you target their weapons without destroying their ships? Jake asked. I don't want to start a war by killing everyone. I'll try, Lisa said. But Jake, they're not showing us the same mercy. The Dominion's will just launched planet-killer missiles at the station. Jake's blood went cold. Planet killers were weapons designed to crack worlds in half. Against a space station, they would leave nothing but atoms. Stop those missiles now. The Defiance moved faster than Jake had ever seen a ship move. One moment they were dodging cruiser fire, the next they were between the missiles and Frontier Station. Lisa fired something that looked like silver lightning. The planet-killer missiles simply vanished as if they had never existed. How did you do that? Webb asked from his seat, still taking notes despite the battle raging around them. Matter dissolution beam, Lisa explained. The missiles were broken down to their basic atoms. Jake, I'm beginning to understand our weapons now. We have technology that can do things the hegemony can't even imagine. The hegemony fleet regrouped and came at them from all sides. Jake watched their formation on the main screen. 6 massive ships, each one 10 times bigger than the original Liberty's Edge. Their commander knew what they were doing. Incoming message from the Dominion's will, Rick announced. Put it through, Jake said. The main screen showed a hegemony commander. She looked human except for her blue skin and silver eyes. Her uniform was covered with rank insignia and battle ribbons. I am Commander Victoria Stone of the Hegemony Fleet. You have one last chance to surrender the Builder artifacts and submit to judgment. Jake stood up from his command chair. I am Captain Jake Morrison of the human ship Defiance. We don't surrender to bullies anymore. Stone's expression didn't change. Then you have chosen extinction. All units, open fire. Destroy that ship and recover the artifacts from the wreckage. The battle became chaos. 6 cruisers firing everything they had while the Defiance twisted and turned through space like a silver dancer. Lisa was learning fast, and with each passing minute, their movements became more graceful and their return fire more accurate. Jake, I'm ready to use our real weapons now, Lisa announced. But once I do, there's no hiding what we are anymore. The entire galaxy will know that humans have builder technology. Jake watched another missile barrage explode harmlessly against their hull. The hegemony was throwing everything they had at the Defiance, and it wasn't enough. Do it, Lisa. Show them what we can do. The Defiance stopped moving suddenly, hanging in space like a silver star. Then new weapons appeared along its hull, weapons that looked like they were made of living light. The first beam struck a hegemony cruiser and passed right through its shields as if they weren't there. The beam didn't destroy the ship, but every weapon on that cruiser went dark. Phase beam, Lisa explained. It passes through normal matter and only affects energy systems. Their weapons are disabled, but their crew is safe. The second weapon was even more incredible. Tiny silver dots shot out from the Defiance and swarmed over another cruiser. Jake watched in amazement as the enemy ship's hull began to change. Pieces, falling away as the silver dots took it apart from the outside. Nanite swarm, Lisa said. They're dismantling the ship's weapons and engines while leaving life support intact. The third weapon made Jake's jaw drop. The Defiance pointed at a cruiser and space itself seemed to bend around the enemy ship. The cruiser crumpled like paper being crushed in a giant's hand, but somehow the crew compartments remained intact. Gravity weapon, Lisa explained. I collapsed their hull but created safe pockets for the crew. Within 10 minutes, 4 of the 6 hegemony cruisers were floating helplessly in space. Their weapons were gone, their engines dead, but their crews were alive. Only the Dominion's will and 1 other cruiser were still fighting. Commander Stone's voice came over the radio again, but this time she sounded shaken. What are you? No human ship has technology like this. We're what happens when you push humanity too far, Jake replied. Call off your attack and we'll let you go. The hegemony does not retreat, Stone said. But Jake could hear the fear in her voice. The remaining two cruisers tried a desperate attack, firing everything they had while charging straight at the Defiance. Lisa responded with a weapon Jake had never seen before. A beam of pure darkness shot out from their ship and enveloped both cruisers. For a moment, they simply vanished from all sensors. Where did they go? Rick asked. Temporal displacement, Lisa said. They're trapped in a time bubble moving at 1% normal speed. From their perspective, we're moving impossibly fast. From ours, they're almost frozen. The effect will wear off in about an hour. The battle was over. 6 hegemony cruisers defeated by 1 human ship. Jake looked around at his crew and realized they had just changed the balance of power in the galaxy. Lisa, are you still human? Jake asked quietly. Her laugh came from speakers all around them, but it still sounded like the Lisa he knew. I'm more than human now, Jake. But I'm still me. I can see and understand things I never could before, but my heart is still human. Webb was writing frantically in his notebook. This is incredible. The builder technology isn't just advanced, it's alive. It adapts to whoever uses it, enhancing their natural abilities. Rick was monitoring the communication channels. Jake, we have a problem. The hegemony fleet broadcast the entire battle to their headquarters before we disabled them. By now, every major species in the galaxy knows that humans have builder technology. Jake's moment of victory turned to worry. What does that mean? Webb looked up from his notes. It means they'll all be coming for us. The Galactic Council has strict laws about builder artifacts. Any species that finds them is supposed to turn them over immediately. They believe builder technology is too dangerous for anyone to control. Lisa's voice was calm but serious. Jake, I'm picking up long-range communications. At least 12 different fleets are already moving toward human space. The Zephyrians, the Hegemony Reserves, the Crystal Collective, the Machine Union, and others I don't recognize. How long do we have? Jake asked. The fastest fleets will reach human space in 3 days, Lisa replied. The largest will arrive within a week. Jake, we're talking about thousands of ships. Even with builder technology, we can't fight them all alone. Rick turned from his station. Jake, maybe we should contact Earth. The Colonial Union needs to know what's coming. Jake thought about the politicians and military commanders back on Earth. Most of them still thought of humans as the galaxy's weakest species. They would want to negotiate, to surrender the builder technology in exchange for peace. They wouldn't understand that some things were worth fighting for. No, Jake said finally. If we contact Earth, they'll order us to surrender. We need to prove that humans can fight back before anyone will believe in us. The disabled hegemony cruisers were starting to move again as their crews made emergency repairs. Commander Stone's voice came over the radio one more time. Human ship. This battle is over, but the war is just beginning. The Galactic Council has declared your species a threat to galactic peace. They're sending fleets from every corner of the galaxy to contain you. Let them come, Jake replied. Humanity doesn't bow to alien councils anymore. Stone's ship limped away with the other damaged cruisers, broadcasting warnings about human builder technology to anyone who would listen. Jake watched them go and knew there was no turning back now. Lisa, how many builder artifacts are there in human space? Jake asked. I can sense 17 other seeds scattered across human colonies, Lisa replied. If we can reach them before the alien fleets arrive, we can build a defense force. Webb looked excited despite the danger they faced. Jake, do you realize what this means? We're not just fighting for our lives anymore. We're fighting for the future of human civilization. If we can master builder technology, humanity could become the most powerful species in the galaxy. Jake looked the galaxy's resources. He thought about. The news spread across human space faster than wildfire. Within hours of the battle at Frontier Station, every human colony knew that Captain Jake Morrison had defeated a hegemony fleet using ancient alien technology. The reactions were mixed and explosive. On Earth, President Nancy Adams called an emergency meeting of the Colonial Council. The massive conference room was filled with representatives from dozens of human worlds, all talking at once. Fear and excitement battled in their voices as they tried to understand what had happened. "Order, order!" President Adams shouted, banging her gavel. She was a small woman in her 60s, but her voice could command attention from the most stubborn politicians. "We need to decide how to respond to this crisis." General Marcus Kane, head of Earth's military forces, stood up first. "Madam President, we need to contact Captain Morrison immediately and order him to surrender the alien technology. If we don't, every species in the galaxy will consider us a threat." "Surrender?" Representative Paul Mitchell from the mining colonies jumped to his feet. "General, for the first time in human history we have technology that makes us equal to the aliens. Why would we give that up?" "Because we can't fight the entire galaxy," Kane replied. "The reports say at least 20 different fleets are heading for human space. We're talking about tens of thousands of ships." President Adams raised her hand for silence. "What do we know about Captain Morrison's current location?" Admiral Susan Wright, Kane's second-in-command, checked her tablet. "He's traveling through human space, visiting colonies with known alien artifacts. Our intelligence suggests he's trying to activate more builder technology." "Then we stop him," Kane said. "We send our fleet to intercept Morrison and take the technology into proper custody." Mitchell laughed bitterly. "Our fleet?" "General, Morrison defeated 6 hegemony cruisers with 1 ship. What makes you think our outdated vessels could stop him?" The argument continued for hours, with no clear decision. Meanwhile, Jake and his crew were already at their second colony world, watching another miracle happen. New Terra was a farming world with 3 million human settlers. They had discovered a builder artifact 5 years ago, but couldn't make it work. It sat in their planetary museum like a piece of expensive art, beautiful but useless. Now Lisa Hayes stood next to the artifact in the museum's main hall, her hands glowing with silver light. The artifact responded to her touch, unfolding like a metal flower and releasing streams of building material that flowed toward the colony's spaceport. "Integration beginning," Lisa announced. Her voice came from speakers throughout the museum, and the silver patterns on her skin pulsed with energy. "The artifact has identified 17 suitable volunteer ships." Jake watched through the museum's windows as volunteer crews brought their ships to the spaceport. Miners, traders, even a few retired military vessels. None of them were warships, but they were crewed by humans who had voted to stand and fight, rather than surrender. Pete Collins, New Terra's best engineer, was coordinating the integration process. He was a young man with grease-stained clothes and excited eyes. "Captain Morrison, this is incredible. The builder technology is improving our ships beyond anything I've ever seen." The transformation was amazing to watch. A mining ship designed to cut asteroids gained weapons that could slice through the strongest hull armor. A trading vessel's cargo bays became manufacturing centers that could build new technology. Even an old passenger liner grew armor plating and defensive systems. Webb was recording everything with his instruments, still amazed by what they were witnessing. "Jake, the builder technology isn't just upgrading the ships, it's learning from each integration, becoming better at working with human minds and machines." Rick was monitoring communication channels from his portable console. "Jake, we have a problem. I'm picking up transmissions from Earth. President Adams has authorized a fleet to intercept us." Jake sighed. He had expected this. Earth's politicians were always more comfortable negotiating than fighting. "How long until they arrive?" 6 hours, maybe less, Rick replied. "Admiral Wright is leading the fleet personally. 12 ships including the battleship Washington." Jake knew Admiral Wright. She was a good officer who followed orders even when she disagreed with them. Fighting fellow humans was the last thing Jake wanted to do, but he couldn't let Earth's government surrender humanity's only chance at equality. "Lisa, how many ships can we integrate before the Earth fleet arrives?" 14 are complete, Lisa replied. 3 more need another hour. But Jake, I need to tell you something important. Each integration makes me stronger, but it also makes me less human. I can feel my consciousness expanding beyond what a human mind was meant to hold. Jake felt a chill of worry. Are you still you, Lisa? Her laugh still sounded human, but there was something different about it now. I'm still me, Jake, but I'm becoming something more. The builder technology doesn't just enhance ships and weapons, it enhances minds too. I can see connections and possibilities that I never imagined before. The Earth fleet arrived exactly when Rick predicted. Admiral Wright's ships dropped out of hyperspace in perfect formation, their weapons powered but not targeted. The Washington was an impressive sight, a kilometer-long battleship that represented the best of human military engineering. Admiral Wright's face appeared on the main screen of the Defiance. She was a stern woman in her 50s with gray hair and tired eyes. Captain Morrison, I'm Admiral Susan Wright of the Earth Colonial Navy. I have orders to take custody of the alien artifacts and escort you back to Earth for debriefing. Jake stood in front of the screen, flanked by Rick and Webb. Behind them, the bridge of the Defiance had become something beautiful and alien, with silver panels and glowing displays that seemed to think for themselves. Admiral Wright, I respect. You and I respect your service, Jake said. But I can't let you take this technology back to Earth. The politicians will negotiate it away to buy peace, and humanity will remain weak forever. Wright's expression didn't change. Captain, I have my orders. Will you surrender peacefully? No, ma'am, I will not. Wright nodded sadly. I was afraid you'd say that. Captain Morrison, you're forcing me to choose between following orders and protecting human lives. The alien fleets will be here in 2 days. If we're fighting each other when they arrive, we'll all die. Jake had an idea. Admiral, what if I could show you something that might change your orders? Give me 10 minutes to demonstrate what we're really fighting for. Wright thought about it for a moment. 10 minutes, Captain, but keep your weapons powered down. Jake turned to Lisa. Can you show her what you showed us? Let her see what humanity could become. Lisa's consciousness reached out through space and touched the Washington's computer systems. Suddenly, Admiral Wright's bridge was filled with holographic displays, showing the builder technology in action. The Admiral could see ships being transformed, weapons that could disable rather than destroy, technology that could heal instead of harm. My God, Wright whispered, this isn't just about building better weapons. This is about evolving into something greater. That's right, Jake said. The builder technology doesn't make us conquerors, Admiral. It makes us protectors. We could use this to keep the peace in the galaxy, instead of just surviving in it. Wright was quiet for a long time, studying the information Lisa was sharing. Finally, she spoke. Captain Morrison, I'm going to do something that will probably end my career. I'm declaring that the alien artifacts are too important to transport safely to Earth. My fleet will remain here to help defend this system. Jake felt relief wash over him. Thank you, Admiral. We can use all the help we can get. Don't thank me yet, Wright replied. My ships are good, but they're not builder technology. When the alien fleets arrive, we'll still be badly outnumbered. Kate Sullivan, Wright's intelligence officer, appeared on screen beside the Admiral. She was a sharp-faced woman with observant eyes who made Jake nervous just looking at her. Captain Morrison, we've been monitoring alien communications. The Grand Alliance has formed specifically to deal with the human threat. They're not just sending military forces. They're planning to sterilize every human world to prevent builder technology from spreading. Jake felt sick. They're planning genocide? Complete extinction, Sullivan confirmed. The Alliance believes that builder technology in human hands represents an existential threat to galactic civilization. They're not taking any chances. Webb looked up from his tablet where he had been reading builder historical records. Jake, I think I know why they're so afraid. According to these records, the last species to master builder technology became so powerful that they conquered half the galaxy before mysteriously disappearing. What happened to them? Rick asked. The records are unclear, Webb replied. But the other species have been terrified of builder technology ever since. They'll do anything to prevent another species from gaining that kind of power. Lisa's voice came from speakers throughout the ship. Jake, I'm detecting the first wave of enemy scouts at the edge of the system. The main fleets will arrive within 18 hours. We need to make a decision about our strategy. Admiral Wright leaned forward. Captain, what do you have in mind? The journey to Nexus Prime took 12 hours through hyperspace. Jake spent most of that time studying the intelligence reports Kate Sullivan had provided. Nexus Prime was the most heavily defended world in the galaxy, surrounded by defense stations, and patrolled by hundreds of warships from every major species. It's like trying to break into a fortress made of fortresses, Rick said, looking at the tactical displays. Jake, are you sure about this plan? Jake wasn't sure about anything anymore, but he knew they had to try. Lisa, what do your sensors show? Lisa's consciousness now filled the entire ship. Her voice came from everywhere at once, but it still carried the warmth Jake remembered. The defensive fleet is exactly where the intelligence report said it would be. 300 ships in orbital patrol, with another 200 on standby at the defense stations. Webb looked up from his research tablet. Jake, I've been studying the builder records about infiltration techniques. Their technology includes something called phase shifting. We might be able to slip past the defenses undetected. Phase shifting? Jake asked. We become slightly out of phase with normal space, Lisa explained. We'll be invisible to their sensors, but we can still see and move normally. However, while phased, we can't use weapons or communicate with anyone outside the ship. Rick frowned. So we can sneak in, but once we're there, we're on our own. That's the idea, Jake said. We get to the planet's surface, find the Alliance, council meeting, and force them to call off their fleets. The Defiance dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Nexus Prime system. Through the main window, Jake could see the most beautiful and terrifying sight in the galaxy. Nexus Prime was a perfect blue and green world surrounded by a ring of space stations that sparkled like diamonds. Hundreds of ships moved in precise patterns around the planet, their formations creating geometric art against the stars. Beginning. Phase shift, Lisa announced. Hold on, everyone. The universe changed around them. Colors became muted, and sounds grew distant. Jake felt like he was looking at the world through frosted glass. The enemy ships were still visible, but they looked ghostly and unreal. Phase shift complete, Lisa said. We are now undetectable, beginning approach to the planet. They flew through the defensive fleet like a ghost passing through walls. Jake watched massive alien battleships drift past them, their crews completely unaware that a human ship was flying within meters of their hulls. It was the strangest feeling in the world. There, Webb pointed at the planet's surface. The Alliance Council building. It's that pyramid structure in the capital city. The pyramid was enormous. Easily a kilometer wide at its base and half that tall, it was made of some kind of crystal that caught and reflected the light of Nexus Prime's twin suns. Around it, the alien capital city spread out like a circuit board made of living light. Landing bay detected, Lisa reported. I can phase us back to normal space inside the building's main hangar. Do it, Jake said. The universe snapped back to normal clarity as they materialized inside the Alliance Council building. The hangar was huge and mostly empty except for a few diplomatic shuttles. Emergency alarms immediately began blaring as the Defiance appeared out of nowhere. Security forces incoming, Rick reported. Looks like about 50 guards from different species. Jake stood up from his command chair. Lisa, can you keep the ship safe while we go inside? The ship can defend itself, Lisa replied. But Jake, I need to come with you. The builder records indicate there might be ancient technology in this building. If there is, I need to activate it. How can you come with us? You're part of the one ship now. Silver liquid began flowing across the floor toward Jake's feet. When it reached him, it formed into a humanoid shape that gradually became more detailed. Within moments, Lisa stood before them again, looking exactly as she had before the integration except for her silver eyes and the glowing patterns that ran across her skin. I'm still connected to the ship, she explained. This is just a mobile extension of my consciousness. The security forces were pounding on the hangar doors, demanding entry in a dozen different alien languages. Jake could hear translation computers trying to make sense of the chaos. Webb, you stay with the ship, Jake ordered. Rick, Lisa, you're with me. We need to find the council chamber and end this war before it starts. They left the Defiance and moved through corridors filled with alien architecture that hurt to look at directly. The walls seemed to bend in directions that shouldn't exist, and the gravity felt different in each room they passed through. Lisa led the way, following signals only she could detect. "There's definitely builder technology in this building," she said. "It's very old, but it's still active. I think the Alliance Council doesn't even know it's here." They found the council chamber after 10 minutes of running through increasingly strange corridors. The chamber was a massive spherical room with the Alliance leaders sitting on platforms that floated in midair. Jake recognized some of the species from intelligence reports. The hegemony commander they had fought earlier was there, along with representatives from the Crystal Collective, the Machine Union, and at least a dozen other civilizations. There, Rick pointed to a platform where a tall, insect-like alien was speaking. "That's High Counselor Zaxeth of the Zephyrian Empire. He's the one coordinating the attack on human space." Jake pulled out a portable communicator and boosted its signal to reach the chamber's sound system. His voice suddenly echoed throughout the massive room. "Attention members of the Grand Alliance. I am Captain Jake Morrison of the human ship Defiance. I'm here to discuss the terms of your surrender." The chamber erupted in chaos. Alien voices screamed in anger and fear while security forces rushed toward their position. But Jake wasn't done talking. "You've declared war on humanity because you're afraid of builder technology," Jake continued. "But you don't understand what you're really fighting. We didn't steal this technology. It chose us." High Counselor Zaxeth's voice boomed through the chamber. "Humans have violated galactic law by activating forbidden artifacts. Your species will be sterilized to prevent contamination." Lisa stepped forward, her silver patterns glowing brighter. "Then let me show you what you're really afraid of." She placed her hand on what looked like a blank section of wall. Immediately the wall came alive with builder technology. Silver patterns spread across the chamber like living circuits, and suddenly everyone could see what Lisa saw. Holographic displays filled the air, showing the true history of the galaxy. The builder civilization hadn't been conquerors as the Alliance believed. They had been protectors, using their technology to prevent wars and keep peace among younger species. When they finally evolved beyond the need for physical form, they had left their technology behind for whoever proved worthy of inheriting their mission. "The builders didn't disappear," Lisa announced, her voice now coming from speakers throughout the building. "They ascended to a higher plane of existence. But before they left, they prepared for this moment. They left their technology as a test, waiting for a species that would use it to protect rather than conquer." The chamber fell silent as the Alliance leaders absorbed this information. High Counselor Zaxeth was the first to speak. "Even if this is true, how do we know humans won't become conquerors once they master this power?" Jake stepped forward. "Because we're giving you a choice. Stand down your fleets and return to your homeworlds, and we'll use builder technology to keep the peace. Every species will be protected equally. No more strong civilizations bullying weak ones. No more genocidal wars or forced surrenders." Commander Stone from the Hegemony Fleet spoke up. "And if we refuse?" Lisa's eyes blazed with silver fire. "Then you'll learn why the builder technology chose humanity. We've been the underdogs for so long that we understand what it means to be oppressed. We'll use this power to protect every species that can't protect itself, and we'll stop anyone who tries to harm the innocent." The builder technology in the chamber walls was now fully active, showing tactical displays of the human fleet. 17 ships didn't look like much compared to the thousands of vessels in the Grand Alliance fleets, but the displays showed what those ships could really do. Weapons that could disable entire fleets without killing anyone. Defensive systems that could protect planets from any attack. Manufacturing capabilities that could build whatever was needed to keep the peace. High Counselor Zaxeth consulted with the other Alliance leaders in a series of quick alien conversations. Finally, he turned back to Jake. "You're asking us to trust you with power that could reshape the galaxy?" "No," Jake replied. "I'm asking you to trust humanity with the responsibility to use that power wisely. We've been weak for so long that we know what it's like to need protection. We won't forget that lesson." The debate continued for another hour, with Alliance leaders arguing among themselves while Jake, Rick, and Lisa waited. Finally, the High Counselor called for order. "The Grand Alliance has reached a decision," Zaxeth announced. "We will withdraw our fleets and return to our home systems, but humanity will be watched closely. If you prove unworthy of builder technology, we will unite against you again." "Understood," Jake said. "But you should know that we're not the same, Essie.